not turned on, but I will turn it.
First question, how many people are using the mobile app?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Second question, why not? How many of you are sending, as part of your email signature, a link to your personalized mobile app? Again, if you're not, why not?
I don't know how.
Don't know how.
Yeah. Didn't know we had one.
Didn't know we had one.
Don't look at me.
Sorry.
Pardon?
Can do a class here.
Yeah, do a class for us. We'd be happy to have you, Scott.
Okay, I will be happy to come up there. How many have heard about the mobile app then? Okay. So for those of you who have heard of it, even though it's not part of your signature, I guess my first question is, why aren't you using it? Now, the number one answer I get, well, I can't get all the information I want. Well, we've sent out several emails on this, and give a second. Okay, so someone said, I wish you could search by neighborhood. All you have to do is go up top there and put the property address in, and the map will center on that, and it's going to show you every property around the address you just put in. So while technically you can't search for neighborhood names, if you know a house in the neighborhood, you can search by that. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this property. That was probably a bad one to pull up, but if you'll notice, I'm going to scroll down here, and look, all the agent info right there. All you have to do is log in with your Harry Norman email address. So you go to your account, and you see it says, Welcome Scott. I can log out. There's also a login.
How'd you get there first? Let me see how you got to this.
I touched on the little thing up top where it says your account.
No, but how did you come into it? Through the app?
Yeah, I just opened up the app.
Okay.
This is the home page of the app on here. Yes, it looks a little bit different on a smartphone. Jenny, do you have an iPhone?
No, I do.
There you go.
Let me steal your iPhone then. Let me turn this AirPlay off.
No password.
No password. Buy some stuff on Amazon while you're there.
Yours does not have AirPlay.
Mine do AirPlay?
Should.
Let's find out.
I know it says process.
Yeah, you've got one of the new ones. I'm pretty sure you're probably going to have AirPlay in yours. AirPlay.
I don't use Apple TV. Well,
Okay.
surprising.
Unfortunately, I'm not sure how to operate it on that one. So they change it. But anyway, on the iPhone, you can also add it. There's an area where you can go to My Account on the iPhone. And let me steal your phone one more second.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's called My Portfolio. It's at the very bottom. You click on My Portfolio, and in your case, it's logged in as you already.
Yeah.
So if you're logged in as yourself under your Harry Norman email address, you can get all the information. So any other reason you don't want to use the app? I heard can't do neighborhoods. Well, you technically can't do neighborhoods, but everybody needs to realize, as we move forward in technology, if you want to advance, you have to get out of the mindset of, well, that's not how I used to do it. Because things have always changed. You know, originally, when everybody would make a phone call, you'd pick up the phone and you'd dial the number and it would ring, right? How many of you can do that on your cell phone? Nobody can. You put the phone number in and then you hit send. It works differently than the telephone. So if you want to advance in technology, you're going to have to get out of the mindset of that's not how I used to do it. So when you're trying to search for neighborhoods, go up top and just put the property address. And it automatically recenters me on the map there, and there are all the properties around where I just put the address in.
How did you get to that?
What do you mean, how did I get to that?
I'm sorry, when I hit my portfolio, it says Welcome Linda. And
That means you're already logged in.
Huh?
That means you're already logged in.
Her name's not Linda.
I'm not Linda though.
Still doesn't mean that you're not logged in. I'm not sure exactly how that happened. The only thing I can think of is that maybe somebody had sent you a link that had their specific URL in there.
Ron says his says Linda.
Mine says Linda too.
Okay, so you're all logged in as Linda. My guess is that somebody sent an email around that had a link to it, and y'all clicked on the link, and so you'll need to log out and log back in as yourself.
Unless you want to be Linda.
Yes.
How do we get our emails?
Maybe Linda's got an Amazon account.
Okay. Okay, guys. Next thing.
Wait a minute, so you had all those homes up there, so how do you get to one of them to see what the information is about another house?
You click on
Just
it.
touch it?
Yeah, I'm up here. So all I have to do is once the property list comes up,
Yeah.
I can touch on any home, and when I touch on the home,
Okay.
on the right-hand side, it's going to scroll down to that list, and it's going to do a little pull-out for that property. So as I touch them, it's going to change the property. If you'll notice on the right-hand side, and then if I want it, I just touch it and open it up. And then from here, if I scroll up, I can get all the information about it, go all the way down to the bottom to where it says property info or agent-only info. And then to close it, I just swipe over to the right, and now I'm back where I started. Jenny, why don't we plan, I'll come up and do a class specifically on this, and I will do something on the iPhone as well.
So
Yeah,
that
would
was
be
the,
great.
what's the email address that we should have in our signature?
The email address is, one second.
You want me to go?
Yes, please.
What I use the app for, which I find really easy, is MLS number. Right where you put in the address, if you have buyers who are sending you the Georgia MLS numbers, we know how difficult it is to figure out the address. You can put the Georgia MLS number in the Harry Norman app, and it'll show you.
Or the FMLS number, either one, and it's going to pull up the property. The other cool thing is on the phones, you can't do it here, but on the phones as you're looking at stuff, if I want to, I can touch my name over here when I'm looking at these properties, and I can tell it to call me immediately. On here you can only do email because this doesn't have a phone built into it. But if they're using the app on the phone, they can dial you immediately as long as you brand it to them. And that's going to take me to my next step.
Scott, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I have a couple people using this and they like it. When they mark a favorite, am I alerted of their favorite, or do they have to somehow send me? Yeah. So like if they're using the app that I sent them,
If they're registered to you, you can go in and look at their saved searches just like you can with the other stuff.
but it doesn't automatically alert me. If they mark a favorite, I'm not alerted. I have to.
No, but if that's something that everybody thinks would be a good idea, we can put it on our list of things.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the mobile link that you want to use your signature. If you're just sending them the app, it's the first one. If you want to personalize it, which means when they click on it, it installs it on their device associated with you so that when they want to email or call somebody that calls you, it's your first name, last name. Now, that's true in 99% of the cases. Some people do not have their Harry Norman website as their first name, last name, .harrynorman.com. It may be the Bennett team or something along those lines. So whatever you're using is what you would put there. But like I said, 99% of the cases it's first name, last name. All you do is put that at the signature on your tablet, your smartphone, and your Harry Norman email signature, and whether you use webmail or whether you use Outlook, put it in there, and every time you send it, they can click on a link and they can download your app. Now, I will tell you the biggest problem that we've had with this is that if I send Jenny the email and she pulls it up on her computer and she clicks on it and says it doesn't work, she's exactly right. It doesn't work because it doesn't work on a computer. You have to click on the link on a mobile device. Otherwise, it's not going to load. If you click on a computer, it's going to take you to a web page that's got your information. It's got your agent information, your picture, your phone number, etc., and that's where it takes them. So if your client says it won't work, the first thing you need to ask them is, are you on a computer or are you on a smart device such as a tablet or a smartphone? Next thing I want to talk about, we're having a lot of issues in the real estate industry regarding email scams. Is there anybody who does not get at least one a week? 2 a week? Okay. So the problem that we have is everybody wants something for nothing. The biggest problem we've had recently is people getting their email compromised. There's a couple of ways that happens. One, you share your password with other people. When I first started at Jenny Pruitt 15 years ago, it was unbelievable to me the number of agents that would share their FMLS ID and password with their clients so their client could get the information anytime they wanted. Oh yes. I would probably say at least 50% of the agents were doing it. Now, something that y'all don't think about is this information is considered privileged, and it's related to your ID and your password. So if you give your ID and password out, and they've got something in there that says security code to the house is this, and someone breaks in and uses that, in theory, you could be liable. If it says child is home between 3 and 5 alone, please do not show. The child gets kidnapped because you've given your ID and password out, you could be liable. Yes, it's a bit of a scare tactic, and that's the intention to get everybody to pay attention. So the other method people use is something called brute force, which means they just randomly guess at stuff or they found out personal information. One of the things I want to point out, if you're using letters and numbers only, 6 characters, you have 2.25 billion possible combinations. It takes somebody about 4 weeks to break that. If you add upper, lowercase, and a number, you're now at 7.6 trillion, and that's going to take somebody about 2.5 centuries to break it. I don't know about you, but if somebody can get my password in 2.5 centuries, I'm probably not going to care at that point.
So why do we have to change it so often then?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, if we do that, I mean, we are doing that. We have to have uppercase,
Well,
lowercase, and number.
I'm glad that you said that, because that brings us to the next one, which is social engineering and phishing. The reason we have to change it so often is people, when you see emails, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying there are people out there, because if there weren't, they wouldn't keep sending these scams, but they will come up with things that will, they send you emails that create greed, frustration, panic, anxiety. They want an emotional response. Why? Because as soon as you start thinking emotionally, you stop thinking logically and intelligently. So, what they're doing is they're finding ways to get you to give them your password. Example. Is there anybody here who likes spam? Okay. Just so everybody's clear, when you send it out, it's called email marketing. When someone receives it, it's called spam. You don't like that. I know she doesn't like that, and neither does the rest of the marketing department. But is there anybody who's gotten an advertisement that didn't say, oh, this is spam, but when you send it out, you don't say, I'm spamming people? So, I started, I think we combined the two companies in 2008, and that's when I just started taking over. In the first 2 weeks that I was at Harry Norman, this email went out. It says, we guarantee 100% you will not get any spam. First 30 days is free. After that, it's $9.95 a month. All you have to do is go to this website, put in your email ID and password. Within the first 30 minutes, over 10 million emails were sent out from Harry Norman Realtors because people gave them their IDs and passwords. Okay, so that's one example. Next one. This looks like it's coming from Amex. It says Amex at AmericanExpressTraumatis.com. That's not a valid email address. Additionally, when you move your mouse over the top of this link, and this happens whether you're in Outlook or whether you're using webmail, it shows you the real address is this, ajworldwide.com.ve. .ve means it's Venezuela. I don't think that's where American Express has their primary website.
4W Worldwide Wild Web.
Pretty much. The next one is supposedly from Service Desk Ticket. We use tech support, but I don't know who that person is, and when you click on the link, it's taking you to zeromail.webs.com. In this particular case, it's asking you for your email ID and password. Here's one from Microsoft. It's saying you have to validate your account, basically. Click here to verify. When you click there, how many people read every single word in an email message? Most of us don't. Most of us do what's called skimming. And if it's something we think that we need to take action on, we probably go back and read it. Well, they're counting on you skimming. Because first of all, I don't know who Sparksy is. But second of all, when you skim this email address, because of the fact you see Windows support, Microsoft, and email, because you see all of those different words, your mind is thinking, okay, this is legitimate. It doesn't really pay attention to this first part. Next thing, phone calls from Microsoft. Microsoft is not going to call you saying that you need to verify your Microsoft Windows. Comcast, AT&T, or whoever your internet provider, 99.9% of the time, they will not be calling you saying, listen, we've detected that you've got malware on your computer. We need to help you fix it. Those are two huge scams that are going on right now. I guarantee you I've gotten at least 30 phone calls in the past 2 weeks about this. So if someone is calling you, telling you that you have that, just say, sorry, I'm not answering your questions, and hang up. Next one. This one comes from whatever at rm.dk. Just so you know, .dk is Denmark. It says your mailbox has exceeded its storage limit. Now, how many of you are going to get upset or start panicking a little bit when you find out your email has exceeded your limit because you're expecting a contract? Most of you. Again, it's going back to creating fear. So, but when you click on the link, first of all, a big red flag should be, if the to and the from email address are the same, that should be a red flag. Second of all, I don't know what securityadministratorcheck.gemdo.com is. And ITS Help Desk, not sure who that is. So, if you don't get something that says from @harrynorman.com and it's talking about your email address, ignore it. If you do get something from harrynorman.com about your email, read it carefully. And the reason for that is they can spoof the return email address. And what I mean by spoofing is I can put scottbennett.whitehouse.gov, I can put as the return address. Anytime I want, I can put that so that when you receive it, that's what you receive. The reason I bring this one up is Dan Palmer, about a month ago, got an email, Ron Minnick, our CFO, got an email from Dan Palmer at harrynorman.com about 4 weeks ago, asked for the bank writing information. Fortunately, Ron is smart enough to realize that Dan probably isn't going to be emailing him about this. When you clicked on reply, it wasn't going to dan.palmer@harrynorman.com, which is what the return address said. It was going to a completely different address. So that's one of the reasons. Here's one that's from the, supposedly from the county clerk regarding a court case. You know, if you're getting something from a courthouse, it's probably going to end in .gov. Second of all, they're probably not going to try and reach you this way. They're probably going to do it by certified mail. Here's a great one. This comes from no reply at irsexemptions.com. irsexemptions.com is a valid email address. It's not valid for the IRS, but it's a valid email address. This email is actually a real IRS letter that they send out, word for word. When you go to the form that says fill out the attached form, this is the exact form the IRS uses, with one small exception. It says send back to exemptions@accountant.com. I know a lot of people are probably thinking, okay, this is fairly obvious. It's amazing how much more obvious things are when someone's pointing them out than when you're actually getting the email. And the reason I point this out is because if people weren't getting money off of this, they would stop doing it. Here, this was a perfect one. The only flaw in this one is right here, where it says click here to view docs. If you don't read that carefully, which says qglico.com, you're not going to know that you're on the wrong website. So if you're doing DocuSign or anything like that, make sure you read where it's pointing to. This is one of the better written ones that have come out. This is supposedly coming from tech support. The biggest flaw here is there's not a single spelling or grammatical mistake. And if it's coming from tech support, that's probably a giveaway that it shouldn't. So, but anything that's regarding our tech support is going to come from @harrynorman.com address. It may come from a no reply, but if it's not coming from no reply, it will come from myself or somebody on my staff.